Hello guys, welcome to the channel. It's your boy EO here. So the big question is, how do I eventually plan to become a millionaire, move to Nairobi and basically live that luxurious lifestyle? So obviously I've had to go through challenges mentally in order to achieve this goal. So many people from the UK or the US, they want to move to Nairobi, to Kenya, and they expect to, oh yeah, Nairobi is cheap, I can spend a lot of money here. Yes, it can be cheap in some aspects, but it's just like anywhere else in the world. Things cost money. And if you're not careful, some of these people that come from the UK and the US thinking that it's cheap, what they end up doing is that they end up spending all their money and wasting it. And next thing you know, they have no money left to spend due to their financial mistakes. And when you make mistakes like that, it will always cost you every single time. And it's going to be like a roadblock where you can't get out. If you have no money, okay, cool. Let's say that you want to move to Nairobi. What happens when you have no money and you run out of money? That's it. You're stuck in the country and you have no money to survive. So that's what I had to think of. So in my head, I was like, if I want to move to Nairobi, live my best life, live a very comfortable lifestyle, I can't replicate what most people do when they come from the UK or the US, where they spend all their money. I can't do that, because if I do that, I'm just gonna take 2 steps backwards, So in my head, I was like, okay, cool. I left Nairobi and I'm in the UK right now. So I'm like, okay, cool. What can I do to, eventually make this dream become a reality? I need to be humble. I can't really fall for those mistakes that people around my age normally make. We see that with so many people in their 20s where they spend all their money on nightclubs, on partying, on drinking. I'm not someone who has a family that comes from money. I pretty much live in a middle class neighborhood. I don't live in a rich area. My parents, used to work jobs. They're still working to provide for the family, for my siblings, for me as well. Some people that I know, especially on social media, will post on their social media, say, oh, I'm living my best life in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. What actually was a big wake-up call for me was that I can't rely on all these social media influencers to motivate me to make my dream become a reality. I need to do this on my own. And it starts from, doing something every day. Like what I'm doing with you guys. I'm talking to you guys to inspire you guys. But eventually I want to make this YouTube thing a full-time career. So my big dream, my big aspiration of making millions, moving to Nairobi, living my best life, how can I do this? And how can you guys coming from the UK, the US, do this too? And it all comes down to one thing, which is taking risk. Not giving a shit about what people think. If you're not willing to take risk, what does that tell you about yourself? When people said, oh, don't go to Kenya, don't go to Africa, it's too dangerous because of the riots, you might get killed, or you might get stabbed, or you might die, you might get shot at. I didn't care, because at the end of the day, I knew that in the long term, Kenya, Africa, I knew the potential of Nairobi, of Africa. Sometimes when you have a plan in your head, for example, to build Nairobi, to build Kenya, that element of risk just goes away. It's like it never existed. And that is what happened to me when I first came to Nairobi. I saw all of this potential and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I need to do something. Whether that start a YouTube channel, whether that be starting a YouTube channel or going to the country and just trying to make an impact, you know, not for myself, but for the people of Nairobi, of Kenya. So of course, you know, when taking a risk, you're going to have feelings of uncertainty, nervousness. You know, you might be unsure about the decision that you're making. And you have to know that coming from the UK, the US, you have to take risk. It's not going to be an easy decision. It's probably going to be the most hardest decision that you've ever made in your life. But you have to get over that emotional roller coaster in your life, you know, when making that decision to move to Nairobi. Because once you do make that decision and you get over the fact that you're actually moving, that would be the best moment in your life. And this is the moment that I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the sign to tell me that, okay, yep, you've gotten the green light to move to Nairobi. Because once I make that move, I'm never coming back. If you're looking to move to Nairobi to live that luxurious lifestyle, that millionaire type of lifestyle, it's taught me that you need to separate yourself from the norm. And what do I mean by this? What I mean is that, you know, most people are not willing to take the risk. You know, they're comfortable working a 9-to-5 job, a job that they hate, but they love at the same time, because they're comfortable with the position that they're in within their life, you know, especially in the UK and the US, where the work culture is draining, and they're happy. You know, they're happy with just working a job and getting paid and just scraping by. And, you know, that is a sad life to live. So the fact that you're willing to take that risk, move to Nairobi, move to Kenya, to build a life for yourself, you know, build a life that you would never live in the UK or the US. That lifestyle of, you know, millionaire lifestyle, luxurious lifestyle. The fact that you're willing to pursue that dream in Kenya, in Nairobi, you know, it says a lot about yourself. And it tells you that you have what it takes to be successful. And it just shows you that the only thing that you need to do right now is that you need to follow up on your plan. You need to actually do what you planned and what you set for yourself. You know, you can't go back now. You have to stick to your plan. You have to stick to your ambitions of moving to Kenya, moving to Nairobi, you know, living that lifestyle that we could just dream of in the UK or the US. Because I'm telling you now, if you miss that opportunity to move to Kenya, Nairobi, you might never get that same feeling again. You need to trust your instincts. And obviously, I'm not saying just move to Nairobi blindly. No. I'm saying obviously have a structured plan that you're going to implement. And if you follow that plan of moving to Nairobi, building a life for yourself, living the life that you are supposed to live in the UK or the US, you are going to live a life of fulfillment, of joy, you know, in growing the economy, the country of Kenya, making a difference in the country. Not just doing it for yourself, but doing it for the people. So yeah, if you want more inspiration, more motivation to move to Kenya, to Nairobi, to Africa, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and also comment down below what you think. You know, what are your plans to move into Nairobi? You know, what are you planning to do? You know, so yeah, leave a comment down below, and yeah, peace.